And with more news on councils facing tough financial choices, Birmingham City Council is to increase council tax by nearly 4%. The leader of the council says it will have to use £38 million of savings to fill a shortfall in next year's budget, something never done before.
Well, they also said they're expecting a radical shake-up of the workforce in the new year. Chris Halpin has been looking through the details. He joins us in the studio now. Chris, I know a lot to go through, not that much time to do it. What are the headlines from that report today?
Well, once again, Matt, millions of pounds need to be saved, services reduced across the board, but it's also bad news this year for council taxpayers who are going to have to pay more. Now, if you take a look at this graphic, the plan is to raise rates in the city by 3.99%. Now, that's the maximum. By law, councils can up council tax. That means that if you're in a Band A property, that will mean around £36 more a year you're going to have to spend. If you live in a Band D house, for instance, that's around £48 a year, or 92 pence per week. Now, it's all set out in this budget here. We were given around 10 minutes earlier on to read through the 43 pages before senior cabinet members came in to take questions from us. Now, the main issue this year is that last year the council got their figures wrong and they've overspent by £35 million. Now, to plug that gap, they're going to dip into their savings effectively. They're going to use council reserves. That's the first time they've ever had to do this. And I put it to the leader of the City Council, how can they be trusted to get these figures right if they got it so wrong last time?
The reality is that during the course of any year, pressures come up. This is an extraordinary time in relation to adult social care, for example. These needs are pressing on this city now.
And as we've heard many times before, pressing they are. But next year the council does need to save £78 million. And it's things like adult social care and care for the vulnerable which are going to take the biggest hits. For instance, money for supporting vulnerable people like victims of domestic abuse, homeless people, young people who are leaving care. That's going to reduce by £5.2 million and £10 million each year after that for 3 years. So, again, I asked Councillor Clancy what reassurances he has for people who really need those services.
We're getting to the stage where we have to completely rethink what it is a city council does in terms of social care and how it delivers it. But we are still there, we are still here, we will support you, but it might be in a different kind of way than you used to expect your local council to.
So, Chris, we're talking big numbers, £78 million in year one, £574 million over the next 4 years. Surely job losses are on the cards.
Well, yes, they told us to expect job losses, but unusually this year they didn't put a number on it. They said that we could expect a radical shake-up of the workforce and how the council is run. They said that would begin in the new year. They would look at that over a 2-year period when consultations would begin. But obviously worrying times for workers across the council who don't know whether their jobs will be at risk, especially at this time of year. Now, unsurprisingly, the leader of the council's Conservative group was quick to put the boot in today. He said, how can this Labour-run council be trusted if they can't get their house in order and balance the books?
We saw, it was recently as yesterday, the Labour leader of the council just absolving himself of all responsibility. The residents of Birmingham deserve to know, can they trust this Labour administration to deliver on what they've said? They've overspent by 40 million this year, and now there's another 50 million cuts next year because of their misadministration.
Now, strong words from the Tories there, and no doubt plenty of others will now be digging through these figures to try and find out who else is going to lose out in the next budget. For instance, just flicking through today, I saw that funding to parks is going to reduce by about 20%, so that means things like park rangers and things like flowers. One small thing in a big picture here, but there'll be plenty more scrutiny, and no doubt over the coming days we'll have more reaction to these set of figures.
Chris, thank you for joining us in the studio.
Right, let's get some other news now.